Telekinesis is defined as the movement of objects by methods not explainable by natural laws. At Delight, we define it as the second best way to capture anyone's attention and imagination, second only to delight. This videotape is the most important component in the magician's levitation system. We call it the MLS. By practicing what we show you here, you're certain to have a ton of fun, as well as be able to break the ice in any social situation. Once you've mastered these secret techniques, you'd better be prepared to be the life of the party and have people plead with you to perform another illusion or trick. With that said, let's now take a closer look at the MLS. When you open this tape package, you also received a foldout that contains a woven section of invisible thread and magician's wax. These are the other components of the MLS. The first step in preparation process is to isolate and harvest one strand of invisible thread from the woven bundle, which contains approximately 30 individual filaments. As you would expect, these strands are extremely fine and delicate. This is obviously necessary for them to be invisible over most surfaces. Since we will be working with nearly invisible strands of filaments, this next operation must be done in a well-lit room. Begin by taking a small quantity of magician's wax and rolling it into 3 little balls, about the size of a small pea or a BB. When this is done, use the first wax ball to attach one end of the bundle to a wall or other bright surface. With this surface in the background, you'll be able to see the individual strands or filaments much easier. Now gently stretch the woven section and begin to spread and separate the individual strands at the loose end. After you have isolated a single strand, take another wax ball and press it on the end of the strand. Now you have to remove this strand from the bundle. To do this, hold the isolated strand, then slide the remaining fibers up the length of the filament. As you can see, we are gradually working the bundle at different points along the length. This is to prevent bunching and breaking the individual strand. Once you have isolated the full length of the strand, take the third wax ball and stick it to the top of the strand. Break it, set it aside, then gently straighten the bundle to prepare for harvesting another invisible strand. While you're set up, I recommend that you prepare 2 or 3 more strands, using the process we just demonstrated. Magicians call this part of the preparation process the work before the work. Now that you have the invisible strands prepared, let's briefly talk about handling and transporting them. Professional magicians typically attach one end of the strand to the inside of a pocket, the back of a button, or even their belt. Often, they will carry 2 or 3 invisible strands this way. Because they are not visible when positioned over a dark color or a pattern, the magician can let them hang, enabling him to be ready to perform at the moment's notice. This technique of storing filaments is fine if you are already at the location where you expect to perform the levitation. If, on the other hand, you must put on a coat, drive a car, or travel in any way, you should wind your prepared filaments around a white card, being careful not to tangle them. Once you arrive, you can attach them to your pocket or other parts of your person or clothing. Although we call the isolated strand invisible, in reality, it's almost invisible. Because of this, you have to be aware of lighting and backgrounds. For the filament to remain invisible, you should avoid white or other bright backgrounds and never attempt to perform this in direct sunlight. You should wear dark colors and patterns, and you should perform levitation illusions in parlor, living room, or bar lighting. I suggest that you experiment with different clothing, surfaces, and lighting to gain your own feel for the proper conditions. Now that we have covered the preparation, we're ready to perform our first illusion. Although levitations are very powerful, and probably the reason you purchased the MLS in the first place, telekinetic demonstrations are easier to master and equally as powerful in a close-up setting. So let's begin our demonstration by using mental powers of concentration to move an object. At this point, you should have one or more invisible strands prepared with one end attached to you or your clothing. A good way to begin is to borrow a pair of glasses from the closest spectator. Since glasses may be heavy, you should do this on a smooth surface. A dark wood grain table would be ideal. As you take the glasses, you'll discreetly attach the outer end of the strand to the glasses. Misdirection can help you attach the wax without being noticed. By discussing the concept of telekinesis with the spectators, you'll be able to maintain eye-to-eye contact with them. This will take their attention away from the glasses. Magicians call this taking the heat off the action. If the strand is short, you'll be able to move the object by slowly tilting your body. If the strand is longer, you can position it between two open fingers to help reduce the slack. By using the fingers, you can also rotate the glasses. When performing a telekinesis routine, your presentation is a critical factor in the entertainment value of the illusion. Practice different hand movements. For example, you can move your hands high like this, or drop one hand below the edge of the table as we're doing here. Build a story around the illusions you are performing. It always works when you describe a mysterious experience that you have had. For example, when you accompanied a friend to a psychic reading session, or possibly describe an eerie dream you might have had. With a little thought, you should be able to think of several interesting stories. Based upon these stories, you can choose which lightweight object to move telekinetically. It could be a pen, a piece of jewelry, a card, or any lightweight object. Now that we've mastered telekinesis, let's try our hand at levitation. An ideal item to levitate is a borrowed dollar bill. Before drawing attention to yourself, anchor the outer end of the invisible strand to some nearby stationary object. This way, the filament can be drawn to full extension when you're ready. Of course, you must be careful not to break the strand. Next, ask a spectator to give you a dollar bill. After taking the bill, hold it outstretched over the invisible filament. Lower the bill so that the center rests on the invisible strand. As you feel the center of the bill touch the filament, fold it over, then twist or crumple it around the strand. With this done, allow the bill to lay at rest in your outstretched palm, with the filament relaxed. To create the illusion of the bill rising, lean back slightly and gradually lower your hand at the same time. This creates the illusion of greater distance of levitation with minimal movement of your body. With the bill in a state of levitation, move closer and raise your hand to allow it to land in your palm once again. You can repeat this sequence several times. For the greatest impact, levitate the bill once again by moving back while lowering your hand, but this time you will slowly remove your hand completely. Next, wave your hand under the bill and your other hand on top of the bill. And as you reverse the position of your hands, it appears that you have rotated your hands around the bill and the thread to create the impression that nothing is supporting the dollar bill. Now let's repeat this action in slow motion. To complete this effect, position your palm 4 to 5 inches under the bill. Then lean forward slowly, allowing the bill to drift gradually down to your palm. Once it is landed, you have two options. You could open the bill while leaning forward to return the bill to the spectator. With this approach, you'll probably break the thread or filament. If you plan to repeat the illusion with the same filament, you carefully find the ends of the bill, then untwist it while the filament is taut. As you pass the bill out for inspection, you'll create the misdirection to remove the other end of the filament, letting it drop to your side once again. To do this, you will have to practice attaching the bill and removing it. To help you, we'll repeat the operation now in slow motion. Now that you have everyone's attention, you should be ready to perform another effect. When performing, you should always remember a key magician's rule of thumb, namely, never to do the same effect twice in a row. In this way, you can keep the action moving and prevent spectators from studying your movements. Since you already have the borrowed bill, the pen through banknote routine would be an ideal follow-up. As you look around you, you'll see other objects that can be levitated, such as a napkin or even a matchbook. One variation of this routine is to levitate a thin ring, such as a wedding band. You should avoid bulky rings, as they will tend to break the invisible strand. To levitate the ring, stick the free end of the invisible strand underneath the fingernail of your finger that is wearing the ring. This enables you to remove the ring, position it in your palm, and then begin to levitate it. Notice how he has positioned his opposite hand under the strand, then moves this hand to create the effect. The next technique I'd like to discuss is a big crowd pleaser. Magicians call it the boomerang card. Although this will require more practice, the effect and the reaction it evokes can be well worth the effort. The important technique to learn here is the spinning of the card. To learn this technique, you should use a playing card and a regular piece of thread instead of the invisible strand. This is because you may break the thread a number of times before you master the handling of the card. If you had to continually try to find and fix the invisible strand during the learning process, you could get frustrated. Once you have mastered the handling of the card, you can substitute the invisible strand to create the effect. Begin with a piece of thread approximately the length of one arm. Attach the wax to each end. Then attach one end to the center of your upper body. An upper shirt button will work nicely. Next, attach the other end to the center of the playing card. When this is done, position the card so that the thread is at or near full extension. The card should be held loosely in a horizontal position. This can be done with 2 fingers or by cantilevering the card on your fingers while your thumb prevents it from falling. Please note that the grip on the card must be loose, and the card must be held at one end only. With your opposite hand, practice flicking the other side of the card, making it spin. You should practice this move for a while and try to catch the card as we are doing here. Let's now do it again in slow motion. When you feel comfortable with this move, change it slightly by making a full turn as the card spins. You can also bring your open hand up under the thread, making it appear that the card is flying into your hand. Remember, the card must remain spinning for this to look right. Once you've mastered the technique, you can use a heavier object like a credit card or a computerized hotel key. After you have practiced with these heavier cards, you are ready to substitute the invisible strand. By this point, the breakage will be minimal. Although we recommend flicking the card, some people find it easier to fling the card like this. Let's do this one now in slow motion. With some practice, you'll be able to master these techniques nicely. Once this is done, you are ready to perform the boomerang card routine for friends and other spectators. Before beginning to perform this routine, you should have the invisible strand already prepared and attached to your upper body, while the other end of the wax is hanging freely. Next, ask a spectator to give you their credit card or hotel card key. While they're getting that card out, retrieve the loose end of the hanging invisible strand. As you hold the card up for inspection, secretly attach the wax to the center of the card. Next, position the card horizontally with the thread at near full extension. Then flick the end, making it spin. When you spin the card the first time, catch it with your opposite hand. After doing this once or twice, spin the card and rotate your body as we practiced earlier. After catching the card, say something funny like, "It appears that your credit card wants to stay with me. By the way, what's the credit limit on this card?" Remarks like these will distract spectators, providing you with the opportunity to secretly remove the wax before returning the card. When the wax is removed, just let the invisible strand with wax drop to your side once again. I think that you'll agree that we've covered a lot of territory in this presentation. The information presented is everything you'll need to perfect your levitation and telekinesis skills. The only thing left to do is to end the tape so you can get started practicing your technique. I'm sure you'll have a great time.